I'm Hal Williams, and we're here with more from Results First. Each of these modules illustrates that there's a point to be made and a practice to begin, a behavior to try out that's fairly specific and fairly simple. So here's another one. In this one, we're going to look at what I call a diagnostic. A diagnostic is when I have choices and I want a good way to make them. So the question we'll address is, who do I turn to first? Lots of times we want to try something new. We've got to change. It's new. And the question is, how do we go about that? The best way is not to spend a lot of time planning. It's just to get rolling and try something and build on the energy. Once the train leaves the station, you learn a lot more than if you sit there waiting and waiting for the passengers. So the question is, to whom do I turn to lead this change by the first example? Who's my go first team? It turns out that a man named Everett Rogers, I believe in the 1950s, came up with what was called the diffusion of innovation curve. And he took a standard deviation or distribution of people, and he said, hey, there's three kinds of people when it comes to responding to change. I've got 10 to 15% who are early adopters. They'll go first. They may not have had the idea, but they'll be the first to try it. Then on the opposite extreme, you've got the laggards. They're from Missouri. Show me, and show me some more, and I probably still won't do it. They won't go first, second, third, or fourth. Then somewhere between them, I've got the mainstream. If we want to get technical, we can divide the mainstream in two. I've got about half of them that are inclined to go second. They won't be early adopters, but the minute the early adopters try something, come home from doing it with a smile on their face, nobody died, yeah, I'll go next. And then you have those that are probably inclined toward the laggards, but will move forward. This diagnostic suggests how important it is to start with your early adopters. Laggards are often the people who are the most vocal. Often they will criticize, but they're not prepared to act. Some people mistakenly say, oh, I'm going to start with the toughest people here because if I can convince them, I can convince anybody. Guess what? You probably can't convince them. So you need to figure out, when you want to try something new, who are the people who will go first? They're people who have some reasonable level of tolerating risks. They're people who get energized, just plumb excited by being the first to try something. My guess would be that you know the difference. So as you begin with the early adopters, it's good for them to know who they are. Hey, you're my go first team, and as we pursue this, you're the people I want not only to try it, but to reflect on it. And early adopters tend to be good at that. They tend not just to be actors, but to be thinkers and very willing to make course corrections in their behaviors as they go along. So start with your early adopters, then turn to those in the mainstream, and then lastly, if at all, turn to your laggards.